I used to think therapy was the one place in my life where I could be completely honest, no judgment, no drama, just a safe space to breathe. For months, I'd walk into that quiet office, sit across from my therapist, and pour out everything I couldn't say to anyone else. He was calm, kind, and always knew the right thing to say. At the time, it felt like I was finally healing. Like I had found someone who truly understood me. But I never imagined that the same person I trusted to help me fix my life would be the one to tear it apart. It all started a few months after I found out my husband had been distant, not just emotionally, but physically too. He was always busy, always tired, always somewhere else. I blamed myself at first. I thought maybe I wasn't enough. That's what led me to therapy in the first place. I wanted to save my marriage, to become the version of myself my husband would love again. But in that process, something shifted. My therapist, let's call him Dr. K, he started giving me more than just advice. He gave me attention. The kind I hadn't felt in years. I didn't notice it right away. It started with small things, a compliment here, an extra smile there. I told myself it was harmless. He was just being supportive, right? But then the sessions started lasting longer. We began talking about things that had nothing to do with my marriage. He'd remember little details about my life that I didn't even recall mentioning. And the way he looked at me, it wasn't the same anymore. Still, I convinced myself that it was all in my head. I was vulnerable, lonely, maybe even reading into things. But one evening, everything changed. I was at a friend's get-together, just a casual night with wine, music, and familiar faces. My husband wasn't there, of course. We had grown so distant by then that even being in the same room felt like too much effort. I wasn't looking for anything. I just wanted to feel normal for a night. But then, he showed up. Dr. K. My therapist. Standing in the doorway like he belonged there. And the look on his face when our eyes met, it wasn't one of surprise. It was something else entirely. Something that made my stomach twist. What was he doing there? How did he even know I'd be at that party? And why did it feel like he wasn't just watching me, but watching us? I hadn't told him about that night. At least, I didn't think I had. But the way he moved closer, like it was planned all along, left me frozen. That's when I realized, what I thought was safe, what I thought was healing, might have been something entirely different. And in that moment, I had no idea what was coming next. I couldn't stop staring at him. Dr. K acted like it was the most normal thing in the world, like he just happened to be at the same party as me. But something about the way he smiled, too calm, too confident, made my skin crawl. He walked over slowly, like he had all the time in the world, and greeted me like we were old friends. Not like therapist and client. Not like someone who should have never crossed that line. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, and I forced a smile, pretending like everything was fine. But inside, I was spinning. I tried to brush it off. Maybe he was friends with someone there. Maybe this was just one strange coincidence. But deep down, I knew better. I'd never told him about this group of friends. Never mentioned the party. And yet, there he was acting like it was meant to happen. I excused myself quickly and stepped outside to breathe, but he followed me just a few minutes later. He didn't say anything weird. He just stood near me, talking about how nice the night was, how he hadn't expected to run into me. But the way he looked at me said otherwise. The next few days were even more confusing. At our next therapy session, he didn't bring it up. Not once. He just sat across from me like always, asking how I'd been, if things were getting better at home. I was too nervous to ask him about the party, afraid of what he might say. And honestly, I wasn't sure I wanted to hear the truth. I started questioning everything. Was I overreacting? Was it possible I'd mentioned the party in passing and forgotten? Or was this something more? Meanwhile, my marriage kept falling apart. My husband was barely present, more interested in his phone than me. I'd catch him texting late at night, always quick to put his screen away when I walked in. We weren't even arguing anymore, just living like strangers under the same roof. I wanted to believe therapy could still help us, but suddenly, that didn't feel so safe anymore. Especially not with Dr. K crossing boundaries I didn't know how to define. The tension was getting harder to ignore. I started feeling watched, even outside the office. Little things. Running into him more than once in random places. A strange message from an unknown number asking personal questions. I didn't know what was real or just my anxiety talking. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. And the more I tried to figure it out, the deeper the mystery seemed to go. Things started to unravel faster than I expected. I couldn't focus at work, couldn't sleep properly, and every time my phone buzzed, I jumped. A part of me still wanted to believe it was all in my head, that I was just imagining things because of the stress. But that lie got harder to hold on to when I noticed how often Dr. K seemed to show up in places that had nothing to do with therapy. At a local cafe I never mentioned in our sessions. In the parking lot of my gym. Always alone, always just passing by. And each time, he smiled like it was some harmless coincidence. But it didn't feel harmless anymore. At home, things weren't any better. My husband, Josh, was growing colder by the day. When I asked him what was wrong, he'd say he was just tired or stressed. But I could feel the distance between us widening. He was hiding something. I wasn't sure what, but I could sense it, an affair, maybe, or secrets I hadn't even begun to understand. And in the middle of all that confusion, I started getting anonymous messages. At first, they were vague, just strange sentences that made no sense. Then one evening, I got a photo. It was of me, walking out of Dr. K's office. Nothing inappropriate, just me on the sidewalk. But someone had taken it without my knowledge. That was the moment I knew this was more than paranoia. I confided in my best friend, Mia. She'd always been my voice of reason. When I told her about Dr. K and the party, and the photo, her face went pale. She told me I needed to stop seeing him. But how could I? He knew everything. Every detail I had shared in therapy. If this was something darker than I realized, I wasn't sure what he was capable of. And then Mia asked a question that stopped me cold. What if it's not just him? That thought kept me up for nights. What if there was something going on that connected both Josh and Dr. K? Was it possible they knew each other? That I had been part of something without knowing it? The fear started to spread like wildfire. My safe spaces were gone. My home. My marriage. My therapy. And the worst part was, I still didn't know who I could trust. Or how far this was going to go. I started keeping notes, times, places, anything that felt off. I needed to keep track of what was happening, even if it sounded crazy. Mia helped me set up a spare phone just in case something went wrong. I didn't want to be dramatic, but deep down, I felt something building. Like the truth was right there, waiting to explode. The anonymous messages kept coming. They were no longer random. They mentioned specific details, conversations I had with Dr. K in sessions, things I had only said behind closed doors. Someone was listening. Or someone was sharing. One night, Josh came home late again. His shirt smelled like perfume, one I didn't wear. I asked him about it, but he brushed it off with a laugh, telling me I was being paranoid. That word hit hard. It made me question myself again. But the same night, I noticed something I couldn't ignore. He had a new lock on his phone. He never used to be that careful. That's when I knew for sure. He was hiding something. The question was, what did it have to do with Dr. K? Mia helped me dig around. We searched Josh's email, trying not to leave a trace. That's when we found it, an old message chain from months ago. It was brief, but clear enough. My husband had emailed Dr. K before I even started therapy. The subject line simply read, "Need help with my wife." My stomach dropped. It wasn't just a coincidence. He had sent me to that therapist. And I had no idea why. Was it about control? Was he trying to manipulate me through someone he trusted? Or had something else been going on, something that involved both of them? I couldn't sleep. I kept playing the pieces over in my head, but they didn't fit neatly. And then came the final push. I got a voicemail. It was from a blocked number. A man's voice, low and calm, saying just 6 words, "You were never supposed to know." That's it. No name. No explanation. Just those words, echoing in my ear. I felt like I was standing at the edge of something huge and dangerous. Everything I believed about my life, my marriage, my therapy, my sense of safety, was twisted into something else. And now, I was closer than ever to finding out the truth. But the real question was, would I be ready for it? The voicemail haunted me for days. I kept replaying it, listening to that calm, unfamiliar voice say the same 6 chilling words, "You were never supposed to know." It wasn't just a threat, it felt like a warning. But from who? And about what? I didn't know where to start. I couldn't ask Josh. I didn't trust Dr. K. I couldn't even go back to therapy, not knowing what was real and what was manipulation. The only person I could still lean on was Mia, and even she was starting to look scared for me. Just when I thought it couldn't get worse, something new happened, something I didn't see coming. I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a printed photo, just like the one I'd gotten before. But this time, it was different. This time, it was of Josh. He was sitting at a cafe, across from Dr. K. Their heads were close, like they were having a serious conversation. On the back of the photo, someone had written in thick black marker, "Still think this is about you?" I felt like the floor had dropped from under me. I sat there for a long time, just staring at the picture. My husband and my therapist, 2 people I thought had nothing in common, meeting in secret. Talking like old friends. Or partners. My mind started spinning with possibilities I couldn't even say out loud. Were they planning something together? Was this about more than just controlling me? Or had I somehow stumbled into something much deeper? I showed Mia the photo, and for the first time, she didn't have any advice. She looked shaken. Her voice was low when she said, "This isn't just weird anymore. This is dangerous." That word, dangerous, made something click in me. I wasn't just confused or betrayed. I might actually be in harm's way. And yet, I still didn't know why. Later that night, I searched through every message, every calendar, every trace I had of therapy sessions and conversations with Josh. That's when I noticed a strange overlap. There were days when Josh had gone out of town for work, and those dates lined up perfectly with days Dr. K had canceled or rescheduled my appointments last minute. At first, I thought it was coincidence. But now I wasn't so sure. Then came the second twist, something I hadn't even considered. I got a message from an unknown email. Just one line, "You're not the first." Attached was a voice memo. I hesitated, then hit play. A woman's voice came through, shaky, tired, scared. She said her name was Rachel. She talked about being a former patient of Dr. K. About how he crossed lines. About how he made her feel seen, safe, and then used. She said she tried to speak up once. But after that, things in her life started falling apart, her job, her relationship, even her reputation. And then she said the one name I wasn't ready to hear, Josh. He was part of it too. I froze. My husband's name, spoken by a total stranger. Connected to another woman, another story that sounded too familiar. It wasn't just my life unraveling. There was a whole web here, and I had just tugged at the edge. Now the whole thing was threatening to collapse. And the scariest part? I had no idea who was pulling the strings, or how far they were willing to go to keep their secrets buried. The weight of the voicemail, the photos, and Rachel's voice memo pressed on me like a storm ready to break. I knew I couldn't stay silent any longer. I had to confront Josh and Dr. K, even if it terrified me. So, I planned it all carefully, recording every conversation and keeping my phone close. I needed answers. I needed the truth. That night, when Josh came home, I was waiting. I showed him the photos, the emails, and played Rachel's voice memo right in front of him. His face went pale, and for the first time in months, he looked truly shaken. I asked him why he had sent me to Dr. K and what his connection was to the therapist. After a long pause, he finally confessed. He said he'd been working with Dr. K on a plan, not to hurt me, but to fix me. Josh admitted he'd believed therapy alone wasn't enough, so he reached out to Dr. K, hoping they could guide me toward change. But things had gotten out of hand. Dr. K had crossed every line, and Josh didn't know how to stop it. He claimed he was trapped too, caught between trying to help and watching it all spiral. When I confronted Dr. K in his office the next day, the calm mask slipped. He confessed to the attention he'd given me but denied any malicious intent. He said he thought he was helping, that boundaries blurred because of the pain we were both trying to heal. But then he revealed a shocking secret: I wasn't the first wife of a client he'd treated who had gotten tangled in his web. He insisted he never meant to hurt anyone, but he had his own reasons for doing what he did. Then, just as I thought the nightmare was ending, came the final twist. As I was leaving his office, my phone buzzed with a new message, a video file. Hands trembling, I opened it. It was footage from a hidden camera in my own home. Someone had been watching me, recording every moment. The last clip showed Josh and Dr. K talking in my living room, planning the next steps in their scheme. But there was something else, something that shattered my entire world. As I zoomed in, I saw a third figure in the shadows. It was Mia. My best friend. The one person I trusted most had been involved all along. She wasn't just helping me, she was part of the secret. And the real question hit me like a punch: who could I trust now? The line between friend and foe blurred completely. The story I thought I knew was just the beginning. And the truth? It was more dangerous than I ever imagined. When the truth about Mia hit me, it felt like everything I trusted was crumbling. I confronted her, showing her the video and asking why she would betray me like that. Her eyes filled with tears, but her words were cold. She said she was caught in the same mess as Josh and Dr. K, trapped by promises and fears. She wasn't the friend I thought she was, but a part of a larger plan I still didn't fully understand. I realized then that this wasn't just about infidelity or broken trust. It was about control, how some people can manipulate your life without you even seeing it. I took a deep breath and made a decision. I wouldn't let their secrets define me. I reached out to a lawyer and filed a complaint against Dr. K for professional misconduct and invasion of privacy. I confronted Josh about his part in the betrayal and decided I needed space to heal and find myself again. The road to recovery wasn't easy. Therapy became a place to rebuild, this time with a new therapist who helped me process the pain without judgment or hidden motives. I learned to trust myself again, to listen to my instincts, and to understand that sometimes, the people closest to you might not have your best interests at heart. Looking back, I realize how important it is to recognize the warning signs when someone in a position of power crosses boundaries, or when relationships start to feel controlling instead of supportive. My story isn't just about infidelity, it's about reclaiming control of your own life, no matter how tangled the web seems. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this, it's that safety isn't just about places or people. It's about your own strength and awareness. No one should make you feel small or scared in the spaces meant to help you heal. Trust your gut, seek support from those who truly care, and don't be afraid to walk away from situations that don't feel right. My journey was painful, confusing, and filled with betrayal. But it also taught me resilience and the power of self-love. And now, I'm sharing this story not just to warn others, but to remind anyone going through similar pain that you are not alone, and that healing is possible, even from the deepest wounds. 23.